I'm Greg Floyd, President, Local 237 Teamsters. Welcome to our second installment of Keeping Our Members Informed. But before I begin, I'd like to take a moment of silence for our fallen brothers and sisters, and also a moment of silence for those still battling COVID-19. These are horrifying times. There's so much pain, uncertainty felt for everyone. We know this hasn't been easy for you. You have made personal sacrifices, yet you go to work every day. You have a tough job that only the toughest can do, and you do it well. Because of all of you, the lives of all New Yorkers are less upended. They can count on you, and you always deliver. On behalf of all New Yorkers, thank you, members of Local 237. I want to let you know that we hear you, and we want to answer most of your questions. And we're trying to get help out to you. For example, we've located PPE. We've arranged for free COVID testing for our New York City members through Emblem Health. And the reason is New York City members, Emblem Health services New York City and not Long Island. Long Island, there are a list of sites that you can get free COVID testing. We post legal advice, and we will continue to provide COVID-19 information as it becomes available. We have received many questions from our members, and it is impossible to go over all of them now. But here's a chart with the latest information and resources we have to help you through those rough times. The 2020 census, at risk in New York, is $73 billion in funding, federal funds, the loss of 2 to 3 congressional seats. Please go on the Census website, 2020 U.S. Census, put in the code that they mailed to you, and fill out the census. Do your civic duty. Fill out the census. COVID-19 testing provided by Emblem Health. There's a number there. Must call for an appointment. Stacy Braun Associates provides free financial consultation, 6 hours of free consultation. Local 237 Legal Services Plan provides legal coverage for various needs. Numbers there. MetLife is now our insurance provider. And as of May 1st, the death benefit went from $11,500 to $15,000. You can call MetLife for questions. Local 237 Additional Security Fund. Please call them to update your beneficiary if you have not done so. Also, we should update our pension beneficiary. The number is there for NYCES. The pension benefit for Long Island is New York State and local systems. The number is there. Also, in the schools, the Board of Education Pension Fund number is there. So today, we have some more information for you. We are honored to have with us a very special guest, Scott Stringer, Comptroller of New York City. But before I bring him on, I'd like to offer our sincere condolences on the tragic loss of his beloved mother, Arlene Stringer Cuevas, due to COVID-19. She was a trailblazing woman, the first woman to be elected to the city council from Washington Heights. She's a former teacher and contract analyzer for the Human Resource Administration. She dedicated her whole life to public service, and her son has followed in her footsteps. Scott, welcome to Reaching Out, and once again, we are so sorry for your loss.
Greg, thank you so much, and I just want to say that it is really an honor for me to hear your remarks about her. You know, like so many other mothers and fathers we've lost in the pandemic, she was came of age politically during the fiscal crisis in the 1970s. She was a city worker, and she believed in labor and government, and I miss her every day. But I'll tell you, when it comes to fighting for the city, it's given me a new purpose, a new sense that we've got to protect all of our leaders who are doing the work every day, like people of this union who have sacrificed so much. So I'm glad to be here. You, my friend.
Well, I could say it may have been 15 years ago. I met your mother at an event with her husband. And she said, you know, I'm Scott Stringer's mother. But she never told me her history. However, she did tell me something about you when you were a young man. She said that Scott said, after coming in from giving out flyers on the campaign trail, why did he have to be in politics, and rolled off, went to sleep, and fell into bed. She told me that story. So well, you know, I do remember your mother.
I started out giving out campaign flyers for my cousin Bella Abzug back in that day, and my mother was working on that campaign. So I got hooked at an early age. But you know, climbing up poles, putting up posters, leafleting buildings, that was a lot of work for a 12-year-old, okay?
Yes. Now you mentioned Bella Abzug, and for those of us who are old enough to remember, which I am, she was known for her hats.
Right.
And she ran for mayor in 1977, I believe.
You're right. She ran for mayor.
Yeah. So a little piece of history. So what are your plans to ensure the future of the well-being of our members, all of whom are municipal workers providing essential public services?
So the first thing I want to say is the frontline workers, the essential workers of this city, must be protected at all costs. We are entering a very difficult financial period. I estimate that we will have lost 900,000 jobs by June. The city's lost $7 billion in terms of taxes and revenue. And we have an $8.7 billion budget deficit in 2020 and 2021. But I believe that first and foremost, we should not be balancing this budget and this crisis on the people who are saving the city, the members of the Teamsters 237, labor, nurses, the people who literally go to work every day to protect the rest of us. And that is something that I feel strongly about. We cannot use this as a way to hurt our union brothers and sisters. And I'm going to work every day to make sure that I work with you to protect the people who are fighting for this city. And that's been a tradition that I've long fought for with you, and nothing is going to change that right now. And further, we've got to get equipment to the frontline city workers. We got to respect their health and the challenges they face. We got to make sure that their families are protected as well. You know, this disease discriminates, Greg. It goes after people with pre-existing conditions, diabetes and heart issues. That's what got my mother in the end. And we've got to respect that not every community is equal in that. People in the Bronx and Brooklyn and Queens, people of color are suffering more because of this virus. And we've got to get the city finally recognize that it's time to end that disparity. But do it for real. Stop talking about it. So this has energized me to make it clear that whatever comes our way, the people who are sacrificing, they got to get protected first and foremost.
Now, you mentioned There are 900,000 jobs. That's 100,000 short of 1,000,000 jobs in New York City alone that was lost. Is that what we're saying?
Yes. We will have lost by June 900,000, but it could get to 1,000,000. These were people who had jobs just a few months ago, and they're unemployed today. That is why it is so critical that we have a stimulus package that reflects the need for people who are struggling financially. This is not a joke. People didn't do this. The government shut things down because they didn't fight the virus effectively. And then now the people who are in the most difficult situation, the people who can't, they can't go to the Hamptons or rent a second home and close themselves off, right? The people who are struggling are the unemployed. And we've got to get a real stimulus package for state and localities. And then we have to work to reinvigorate this economy, but we have to do it a little differently. I think Wall Street's going to be fine. I think Amazon's going to be fine. I think we have to make sure that our small mom and pop stores, our communities beyond the Manhattan Central Business District, that must be protected. And that is what the strategy has to be going forward.
Now, 900,000 jobs lost. People aren't going to be paying taxes. What kind of, and you mentioned there was an $8.7 billion revenue loss.
It's an $8.7 billion city budget deficit.
Yes.
2020 and 21.
Yes.
We've already lost $7 to $8 billion in tax revenue, right? Because people aren't working,
right,
and businesses have been shut down. So we need that bailout, but we also need a city government that's really going to watch every dollar and not waste money. And programs matter, but we also have to have solutions, and that's what we've been saying for years. I went and said during the budget crisis, I said, please save more, because I'm a child of the city's fiscal crisis. Even in good flush times, you got to put the money in the bank, because you never know. I said this in February. I said, you never know the unknown, what's going to come our way. Now, I was not thinking about a virus or a pandemic. That's not what I was thinking. But it just made sense after 9/11 and after Hurricane Sandy and 2008 financial collapse. You got to put money away. And the government did not do that in the city. And that's a lesson for us, once again, that in good times, you save more. And in bad times, you take that money and use it so that you don't have to lay off people or furlough people. That's why the money's there, to protect our workers and our city.
And speaking of money, what can our members do to participate in bringing in more money to New York State? And what I'm talking about is the 2020 census. I mentioned it earlier, but I want you to tell our members why it is important to participate in the 2020 census. I have already filled out my 2020 census.
Well, I'll tell you something. Here's something. If we don't have strong representation in Congress, here's what happened. It is playing out for our eyes. So New York has 190,000 coronavirus cases. Federal stimulus gives New York City $9,000 per COVID case. In the state of Montana, which has a few hundred cases, they get $2.7 million per COVID case. The deck stacked against us in Washington. We need to change that. Also, people should realize that New York City gives $35 billion more to the federal government than it gets back. So the way to level the playing field, to make sure that we do not lose congressional representation, we fill out the form. When in the middle of the crisis, my wife and I was sitting around and we had the census form on the table. And I know what people would like. I'll get to it. I got to figure out how I'm going to pay bills. I got real issues right now. I don't need to be messing with a form. But at one point, my wife said, I filled out the census today. And I'm like, wow, I thought you were doing all this other work. She said, no, we did it. So the message to every union leader and every union member, fill that form out. It is the one way we can fight back. We've got to do it.
And it only took me 10 minutes online to fill out the form. 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes. If everybody takes that 10 minutes, we will not lose congressional seats. We will get more money from the federal government. We'll make our city budget better, our state budget better. And this is something we all have to do. And I think we're not doing that well because of this virus. So we're playing in Donald Trump's hands by not filling out the census. You want to pay him back for all that he's done, both in terms of harming us with the virus in the last few years, fill out that census form. He doesn't want anyone from New York City filling out this form.
Yeah, and it's estimated $73 billion, billion with a B, in funding at stake. So that means the schools, public jobs that all of Local 237 members depend on, you can help fund your job by filling out the census.
No question. And it's the one thing we can all do from our home pretty quick.
Yes. Now, we read today that you are going to audit New York City on their coronavirus response. The federal government has not begun any hearings. They may never have hearings, depending on the election. But there are a lot of things that went wrong during this crisis, and there are a lot of things still going wrong in this crisis. But you are going to start an audit. Tell us about your audit.
Well, first of all, I want to know specifically, when did our city government know about this virus, and what did they do about it, and when? And it's not to play gotcha in any way, but it's to begin a process of understanding how our response was created. Did we act in time? Were there things that could have been done differently? Using this audit, could we then make recommendations so if something like this comes our way, we are better prepared? It is not an audit that interferes with the fight right now. We've simply asked the city to hold emails and different sets of documents for a time when our work will be appropriate. But we cannot lose this opportunity. People want answers as to what happened to their loved ones. People want to know what the government response is. But people want to know, what have we learned from this, and what are we going to do differently? The issue of schools is going to come back again. The health issues that the city is dealing with, hospitalizations. So what's going on? I'm a little concerned that when you look at what's happening right now between the contact tracing issue, should the Department of Health be involved? Why is H&H involved? What's the right balance between them? Why is everybody fighting with each other? The mayor has to become decisive. And I hope that this little magnifying glass will keep everybody understanding that they have a role, and their role is to make sure the city is helped first, not political agendas or other considerations.
Now, for our members in New York City, and at a later date, we're going to have, I would say, your counterpart in the state, Comptroller Tom DiNapoli, come on and give us a state overview and give us a view of the state pension funds. Tell us about the New York City pension funds, NYCES, the teachers, the Board of Education.
Well, let me assure everybody with us today, and please tell everyone you know, the pension system is strong. Checks will go out on time. There'll be no interruption, and I don't foresee any crisis in the system. Thanks to the work of your trustees on the pension fund, the leadership of Greg Floyd has always advocated for a varied asset allocation to take into consideration times like this. We've had a hit to the system before after 2011, the financial meltdown, and we have been able to deal with that. So we are working every single day. You know, we have what's called a rebalancing committee that looks at our investment monthly. And now I've asked our Bureau of Asset Management to have those rebalancing meetings times a week. Report back to me if we see any serious fluctuation, we can deal with it. But I'm here to tell you right now, the pension system is strong. We're going to weather this. And anyone who has questions, just Greg or our office are here to help it.
Thank you. Now, going back to your audit, one thing I didn't mention, some of our members may want to weigh in and volunteer some information to you about your investigation. And I know you will be conducting interviews, and if somebody has pertinent information, emails, firsthand knowledge, what do you suggest they do to facilitate that or get that information to you?
Look, we want to hear from our city workers who have been on the front lines. So, Greg, if it's okay with
Yes.
the membership and the leadership of your union, if they could just contact you,
Okay.
leave their name and number, I will have a controller employee, investigator call and hear what you have to say. We want to get to the bottom of what people knew and when and what we can do about it, and we want to know what was done.
Okay.
And have legitimate suggestions or issues that they saw. You know, I can't do audits without help. You know, people in the street telling me what's going on, because can't do this only from the municipal building. You got to be in the streets. You got to be in the hospitals. You got to be, you got to see operations firsthand. So I would love if there's anyone who calls you, you call me, and I'll put them in touch with the right person.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Scott, is there anything you'd like to tell us before we end the broadcast?
So I just want to, first of all, thank you and the leadership of 237. You have been a great friend and advisor to me. Your passion for the members reminds me why we do this work. Your members should know that while you and I are friends, you got something that you got to deal with for the members that stays at the door. You go in and fight and you win. And obviously the members are going to need you now more than ever. And I want you to know that I got your back as well. I do want to say that we've seen this before, maybe not to this extent, but New York City has always weathered this storm. I was saying to somebody the other day when they asked me, hey, Controller, aren't you worried that people are going to move to Texas? And I said, Greg, the problem with that theory is if you move to Texas, you got to live in Texas, meaning you're not going to live in New York.
Yeah.
And I have a belief that when we open this economy, when we protect the people and do our business, I believe that people from all over the world will continue to come here, visit here, work here, and we will once again emerge stronger than before this virus tried to take us down. So I just want to say thank you to you and the show. I can't wait till we're in studio together someday when it's safe. Yes. I will take full advantage of that.
Thank you. And we want to thank you for your dedicated service, your family, your mother, and your memory, that you are here to serve. And we're glad you're the controller of New York City in these times, because let me put it this way, plain and simple, you know what you're doing. And we're glad we have a controller of New York City that knows what they're doing. And competence means a lot, especially in hard times and crises.
Thank you.
Scott, we want to thank you once again for coming to speak to our members.
This means a lot to me. Thank you, sir. All right, I'll see you soon, everybody.
See you soon.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, take care. Thank you once again, Controller Scott Stringer. Now, if we did not get to your question today, we'll be following up with your business agents. Please contact the business agent to ask those questions that you have on your mind. And we'll have additional broadcasts soon. We have a commitment from the Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul, to come on and give an overview of New York State on behalf of Governor Andrew Cuomo. And we also have a commitment from State Controller Tom DiNapoli to give us an overview of the state fiscally. So thank you for tuning into this broadcast. Once again, you could check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and our website for details. I'm Greg Floyd, President Local 237, and this has been our second installment of Keeping Our Members Informed.